Prepare yourselves for a story that will give you goosebumps. Let's travel back in time to the year 1971, when something really crazy happened at Stanford University. We're talking about the famous Stanford Prison Experiment, where a basement in the psychology department turned into a real prison for a week. It all started with a group of researchers led by Professor Philip Zimbardo. They wanted to understand how the environment affects people's behavior. So, what did they do? They created a fake prison, of course. Professor Zimbardo and his team recruited college students to participate in the experiment. Some would be guards and others would be prisoners. It was all part of the plan. At first, everyone thought it was just a game. The guards were given uniforms and even sunglasses to look really intimidating. The prisoners, on the other hand, were handcuffed, given prison uniforms, and taken to individual cells. And that's when the chaos began. The guards started taking their roles too seriously. They abused their power, humiliated the prisoners, and even made them do physical exercises as punishment. The prisoners, meanwhile, felt increasingly powerless and humiliated. The craziest part is that all this drama happened in just 6 days. That's right, in less than a week, the experiment was shut down because it was getting out of control. The students were so caught up in their roles that they forgot it was just a game. But what's the lesson learned here? The Stanford Prison Experiment showed how people can be influenced by the environment around them. When you put yourself in a new and unknown situation, it's easy to get carried away by the expectations and roles assigned to you. So, folks, remember, things aren't always what they seem. Sometimes, we need to question what's going on around us and remember that we control our own actions. Now let me ask you, did you enjoy our journey into the past with the Stanford Prison Experiment? Leave your opinion in the comments. Now, get ready for a surprising connection with a classic book that will leave you even more intrigued. Have you heard of The House of the Dead by Fyodor Dostoevsky? It's a book that portrays life in a prisoner camp in Siberia, where Dostoevsky spent a few years after being imprisoned for conspiring against the Russian government. Now, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with the Stanford Prison Experiment? Well, let's make a connection here. Just like in Dostoevsky's book, the experiment at Stanford explored the dynamics between guards and prisoners in a confined environment. In The House of the Dead, Dostoevsky describes the complex interactions between prisoners and guards, the abuses of power, brutality, and the struggle for survival in inhuman conditions. It's a disturbing view of human nature when subjected to extreme situations. Similarly, in the Stanford Prison Experiment, we saw how the students took on the roles of guards and prisoners and how these roles affected their behavior. The power of authority, conformity to the group, and loss of individual identity were central themes both in the experiment and in Dostoevsky's book. Now, returning to our journey into the past with the Stanford Prison Experiment and its connection to Dostoevsky's work, let's now explore how all of this relates to Erving Goffman's ideas about total institutions. Erving Goffman, a renowned sociologist, studied how institutions like prisons, psychiatric hospitals, and boarding schools shape the identity and behavior of individuals. He coined the term total institutions to describe these environments where individuals' lives are completely regulated and controlled. Just like in the Stanford Prison Experiment, total institutions are characterized by unequal power relations, strict rules, and a clear hierarchy among participants. Guards exert authority over prisoners, and the latter are required to follow the imposed norms, often losing their individuality in the process. In The House of the Dead, Dostoevsky describes the oppressive and dehumanizing routine of a prisoner camp in Siberia, where inmates are subjected to harsh living conditions and cruel treatment by guards and authorities. These stories show us how total institutions can deeply influence how we see ourselves and behave. So, folks, what do you think of this connection between the Stanford Prison Experiment, The House of the Dead by Dostoevsky, and Erving Goffman's ideas about total institutions? They're different perspectives, but they all lead us to reflect on the nature of freedom, authority, and human identity. With that, we conclude our journey through the depths of the human mind, full of discoveries and insights. But don't click away from the video just yet. Now, I've got some movie tips for you to watch with your prison girlfriend. Oops. I mean with your imaginary girlfriend. Oops. Got a bit tangled up there. Just go ahead and watch anyway. But before we continue our conversation, it's important to clarify one point. Although we've discussed the Stanford Prison Experiment and references to works like Dostoevsky's The House of the Dead, this doesn't mean that we're against prison institutions. Our goal is to explore and understand the complexities of human nature and social dynamics. Both the Stanford Prison Experiment and Dostoevsky's book, as well as Goffman's ideas about total institutions, invite us to reflect on power, authority, and the challenges faced by individuals in controlled environments. Additionally, we'd like to highlight that we're not promoting a one-sided or critical view of prison institutions. We recognize that these institutions play an important role in maintaining public safety. Now, speaking of the Stanford Prison Experiment, this study inspired two movies that explore its themes and consequences in different ways. One is the Stanford Prison Experiment, 2015, directed by Kyle Patrick Alvarez, which dramatically depicts the events of the experiment and its impacts on the participants. And the other is Das Experiment, 2001, a German film directed by Oliver Hirschbiegel, which is loosely based on the Stanford experiment to tell a fictional story about a similar experiment. Both films offer intriguing insights into power dynamics and human behavior in extreme situations. Embark on this fascinating journey into the human mind. If you're enjoying our content on the Stanford Prison Experiment, be sure to subscribe to our channel to stay updated on future videos. Also, leave your comment below sharing your thoughts and ideas. We're eager to hear what you think. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you found the connections we're making intriguing. Yay! Your interaction is what motivates us to keep exploring these fascinating topics together. Thank you for being part of our community. With that, we move forward in our journey of exploration and discovery. Thank you for joining us, and until next time.